Well, the latest is, we signed and contracted to do a rematch, and that's what it is right now.
Do you know when it's going to be, when we can hear?
I don't got no date right now, but I know that's the next fight that Terence Crawford.
How long do you think it will be before we have some news about that?
I don't know. It's still up in the air, given the first male boxer, undisputed, in any division in the 4-belt era, and I honor, that, and if he was to come to me or activate his.
It could happen. Why not? If Crawford want to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. So I'm with it. So I'll be going for Bud. If he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him.
The sport is in turmoil once again. Just when it looked like Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. had completely moved on from each other, discussions about a rematch have suddenly resurfaced as of April 2025. And this time, it is not just speculation. Real negotiations are taking place behind closed doors. Both fighters are openly addressing it, and the tension is building quickly, with Crawford already questioning Spence's standing in boxing. Here is everything you need to know.
I wanted to see that immediately after that fight, but now time has kind of ran its course. I don't want to see Errol. I just don't want to see Errol get done like that again. That's all. And I believe Errol Spence is a generational talent. Great.
Crawford and Spence have never been known to stay quiet. As these discussions begin turning into something real, the volume is rising, with both men throwing verbal jabs in interviews, across social media, and even during a heated live exchange. Spence, who has stayed out of the ring since his devastating loss to Crawford in 2023, seems more motivated than ever. He is aggressively pushing for the rematch, insisting the first bout did not tell the complete story, arguing that he was drained at 147 pounds and that the weight cut took everything from him. Crawford, meanwhile, keeps reminding everyone of what happened when they last met, how he dropped Spence 3 times and how the contest was nowhere near competitive. But Spence will not accept that version of events. He firmly believes that at 154 pounds, everything will be different.
Knock my first.
Because I don't want us personally, we talking about what we want to see. I don't want to see it. Because I know what it's going to look like. The same as it looked last time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Errol Spence wasn't the same.
What was wrong with him?
He looked slow. He looked he looked sluggish.
Why?
I can't tell you. I wasn't in camp.
At the division, he dominated for his entire career. All of a sudden, when it came time for this fight, he looked different. Why?
I wasn't in camp with him. I can't tell you. I don't know if his body finally broke down from being at one.
Rematch saga has felt like a roller coaster from the moment Spence activated the rematch clause after their initial fight. When Crawford dismantled him in July 2023, Spence immediately exercised the clause, determined to earn another opportunity, but the agreement was straightforward. Unless one of the fighters submitted written notice declaring they could not make 147 pounds, the rematch would once again be held at welterweight. Spence never formally submitted that notice, yet he and his camp repeatedly argued that the fight should take place at 154. Crawford refused to budge. After defeating him so convincingly, he had no incentive to grant Spence any advantage. That is where the deadlock truly began.
But weight can be used as an excuse and sort of say, I don't feel like it. Like, I'll go up for this guy, but not another guy. So, that's sort of the spirit. The language is very, more precise and very definitive. But the concept is, out of fairness, is, let's not be selective.
Then Spence's health complications slowed everything. The eye surgery, the recovery process, the uncertainty about whether he could return at the same level. While Spence was navigating all of that, Crawford moved forward, captured another title at 154 by defeating Israel Madrimov, and dismissed any renewed chatter about a rematch. When reporters brought it up, he barely entertained the idea. "Nah," he responded, brushing it off entirely. At that point, it genuinely appeared the rivalry had reached its end.
Question, but I want your reaction. Is a Errol Spence rematch on the table still, or?
Nah.
All right, we're gonna wrap this. I'm trying to tell you.
But now the momentum is shifting rapidly. Crawford is no longer closing the door completely. Spence is intensifying the pressure, calling him out whenever possible. Many fans argue Spence has earned another opportunity, believing the weight cut truly impacted him and that the fighter seen that night was not the authentic Spence. Others dismissed that as an excuse, claiming he was exposed and that a second meeting would look identical regardless of the weight division.
I truly believe that the fight would have went that way regardless, because stylistically, the fundamentals on that level, Crawford just outclasses Errol Spence in every single category.
Spence, however, is taking things personally. He is openly accusing Crawford of avoiding him, attempting to escape the contract, and behaving as though the fight never happened simply because he had the upper hand the first time. Crawford, never someone who allows others to shape the narrative, is responding just as forcefully. He is telling Spence that he already had his opportunity, that he was thoroughly dominated, and that he never looked like he belonged in the ring with him.
47, but I'm sure he probably gonna push the weight up, but there's no gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same. Might be even a little bit better. So, he might want to watch out before
Now, in real time, both fighters are making it clear they are prepared to clash again. Spence, despite everything, remains confident. He insists Crawford has never faced him at full capacity, that he was not himself in their first encounter, and that he intends to prove everyone wrong. Crawford, on the other hand, almost laughs at the suggestion that anything would change. In his eyes, Spence has always been overrated. His approach is too predictable, and if they meet in the ring again, he believes he would finish him even quicker the second time. The trash talk grows more heated each day, and with both men finally acknowledging that discussions are underway, this fight feels more realistic than ever.
No! As you can see, man, breaking news, Errol Spence then activated that rematch clause to fight Terence again, right? Let's be honest, we all saw the fight. Crawford beat boogers out that boy.
However, this exchange of words is already creating ripple effects throughout the sport. Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson have long shared a close bond, built on respect, mentorship, and common ambitions. But now, their perspectives on Errol Spence Jr.'s legacy are placing them on opposite sides. Crawford, never one to soften his opinions, has sparked controversy by outright dismissing Spence's Hall of Fame credentials. Meanwhile, Stevenson, one of boxing's brightest young champions, strongly disagrees. Their divide has ignited passionate debates among fans, analysts, and fighters alike, with opinions clashing over what truly defines a Hall of Fame career.
Good win. I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that. Because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't got right.
Crawford sparked this controversy during an appearance on the Pound for Pound podcast alongside Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. He did not hesitate when Spence's legacy was discussed. In his opinion, Spence does not qualify, explaining that Spence competed in only one division. While he acknowledged Spence's achievements, unifying 3 welterweight titles and defeating elite opponents such as Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Yadenis Ugas, Crawford remained firm that it was insufficient. For him, a Hall of Famer is someone who conquers multiple weight classes, constructs an undeniable resume, and proves greatness beyond a single division.
You discredit one of the best wins on your resume, it starts to make people look at your resume with a question mark. Terence Bud Crawford's
statement alone sent shockwaves through the boxing community. Crawford did not merely critique Spence's career, he effectively shut down any conversation about his place in boxing history. This is why so many within the sport pushed back, with fans and experts criticizing him for minimizing Spence's accomplishments. Some view it as unnecessary disrespect. Others believe Crawford is simply speaking honestly. But the most unexpected response did not come from analysts or retired fighters. It came from Shakur Stevenson, one of Crawford's closest allies. When questioned about Crawford's remarks during an interview with the Best Women's Boxing Show, Stevenson quickly disagreed. "I feel like Errol had a great career," he stated firmly. "If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. He went and collected every belt one by one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer." His comments challenged the narrative Crawford was presenting, offering an alternative view that acknowledged Spence's dominance before their bout and what might have been had Crawford not stood in his path.
Terence went on Pound for Pound podcast and he said that Errol Spence will not be a Hall of Famer. Can you just give me your thoughts on that?
I disagree.
You disagree? Why do you disagree?
I feel as though Errol had a great career. If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. So he went and got every belt one by one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Spence's perspective underscores a larger debate surrounding boxing's Hall of Fame criteria. Does success across multiple divisions define greatness? Or can a fighter secure their legacy by ruling one weight class? Stevenson clearly believes Spence's reign at 147 pounds was sufficient. Crawford, however, remains unmoved. For him, being a unified champion in a single division, even with Spence's accomplishments, does not guarantee immortality.
His run was long enough, no Diddy, to automatically put him in the Hall of Fame. He was a very good fighter. If there was a Hall of Very Good, he would be going into that. But Hall of Fame, no. If you were in charge of writing the Hall of Fame speech for Errol Spence, and I was in charge of writing a Hall of Fame speech for Bud Crawford, my Hall of Fame speech, listing my credentials, listing my accolades for Bud Crawford, would sound a lot better than your speech for Errol Spence, bro. Yeah, I don't think unifying and holding 3 titles out of...
Tension between Crawford and Stevenson may not be a full-scale split, but it is certainly noticeable. Their friendship has always been grounded in mutual respect, yet this marks one of the rare occasions they have publicly disagreed on a major issue. Stevenson is not just another boxer sharing an opinion. He is someone who has spent years learning from Crawford, training alongside him, and viewing him as a mentor. For him to oppose Crawford's stance so directly speaks volumes. It also raises questions about whether this disagreement could influence their relationship over time.
He gave me that opportunity to fight him. It's only right that if that's what he want to do, I'll give it back to him. Outside of him, I was definitely looking for that Jamel Charlo fight, but they just stripped him for the WBO. So now it's going to be kind of hard, becoming a 3-weight world champion if you don't come back and fight Tim Tszyu and be successful after.
Adding more intensity to the discussion, Hall of Fame debates are often political, and Spence's candidacy is already dividing boxing's inner circle. Some argue that Spence's resilience, surviving a life-threatening car crash and returning to defend his titles, strengthens his Hall of Fame case. Others contend that Crawford's viewpoint risks setting a troubling precedent, as numerous legends established their entire legacies within a single weight class.
Crawford is a hell of a fighter, but I don't really respect his resume. What? Other than fighting you. Crawford? You know what I'm saying? I don't really respect his resume like that.
Also, another dimension to this conversation, Crawford's history with Spence. Some believe his comments are not solely about Hall of Fame standards, but are personal. They suggest Crawford may be attempting to diminish Spence's legacy because of their rivalry, ensuring history remembers him as the superior fighter. If Spence enters the Hall of Fame, it compels the boxing world to recognize him as an all-time great, even though Crawford defeated him. And Crawford might not be fully prepared to embrace that reality.
YouTube, let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles, but you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford, even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Don't.
Meanwhile, Spence has not publicly addressed Crawford's remarks, but it is reasonable to assume he is not pleased. He has always taken pride in his achievements, and being dismissed so casually by Crawford only intensifies his competitive drive. There is speculation that Spence could channel this into additional motivation for their potential rematch, determined to prove he is not just a great fighter but an all-time great deserving of the Hall of Fame, regardless of Crawford's opinion. This debate shows no signs of fading soon. Fans, fighters, and analysts continue choosing sides. Is Crawford stating facts? Or is his rivalry with Spence clouding his perspective? Is Stevenson justified in defending Spence? Or is he simply being diplomatic? The boxing world is watching closely, and as the exchanges persist, one truth remains. This discussion is not merely about a Hall of Fame induction. It is about legacy, pride, and the relentless pursuit of respect in one of the most unforgiving sports on earth.
Can't take him. I think he's the bigger, stronger fighter. But Errol methodically marches down and breaks you down. I don't know if that can be done to Crawford. I think that Crawford is a marvelous boxer. I think he's got the temperament of a champion that really wants to do damage and be spectacular. He can fight conventional. He can go southpaw. He brought the power with him. And I think the biggest thing is that Errol Spence might have gave him a little bit too much time.
If anyone's Hall of Fame credentials deserve scrutiny, some argue it is not Errol Spence Jr., but Terence Crawford. Put aside the distractions. Ignore the carefully shaped legacy narrative from his camp. The reality appears straightforward. Crawford is not pursuing history, he is pursuing paydays. And that is why fans, fighters, and critics are beginning to question whether his name truly belongs in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Let's come together, make this event a success. Instead of everybody saying every time we get together, you know what I mean, it's always shooting and violence. Everybody know Team Crawford. Y'all know I get active.
Many fighters are not the same competitor on Saturday that they appear to be on Tuesday. That is the reality. Even Crawford's trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, has been repeating the familiar claim that a fight with Canelo Alvarez is not about money. But who truly believes that? Crawford is moving up 2 divisions to face boxing's biggest financial attraction. Not because it is the most logical step for his career, but because the Saudi money is impossible to ignore. If legacy were truly the priority, he would solidify his dominance at 154, test himself against the division's toughest challengers, and perhaps pursue further unification. Instead, he narrowly edged past Israel Madrimov. Once that fight concluded, it became evident that Crawford would not dominate 154 the way he did 147.
This is what I think about resumes, and especially when it comes to these 2 fighters specifically, because they got a lot of the common opponents.
Yes.
But the day that they fought these opponents is what's uncommon. And so you can pick who you want to pick, and I fought him, and he had I broke both eyes, and then you fought all this and that. Bottom line is, a lot of fighters aren't who they are on Tuesday. They're not that same fighter on Saturday.
You are absolutely
That's the
right.
bottom line.
Younger, hungrier contenders were waiting. Rather than confronting them directly, Crawford chose the most lucrative path available. And consider the Madrimov bout. Fans witnessed it firsthand. It was not the clinical dismantling he delivered against Spence. It was not a highlight-filled masterclass. It was a grueling contest that many felt could have ended in a draw. And that was against a talented fighter who is not widely regarded as the division's ruler. If Crawford faced difficulties there, what justification is there for leaping to 168 pounds against an established champion like Canelo?
For 154, because this is the legacy fight. He wants this for his legacy. Now, if you ask me, I think Terence Crawford's taking it to the stupid. He's not going up there for no damn legacy fight. You know what? He's going after Canelo for the reason that he said after he fought Madrimov and after he fought Errol Spence. He wants the most money possible. Simple. He's not trying to move down the ladder and shift into reverse.
That is the issue critics highlight. Crawford does not appear focused on climbing weight classes methodically. He seems uninterested in tackling the true challenges within those divisions. Instead, he targets the biggest name, the biggest spectacle, and the largest payday. And once the Canelo fight concludes, does anyone genuinely believe he will remain at super middleweight? Unlikely. He will collect his earnings, accept the probable loss many anticipate, and then reassess his future. That mindset, critics argue, does not reflect Hall of Fame ambition. It reflects a financial opportunity.
Old videos are starting to surface of Terence Bud Crawford saying he'd never go over 154 pounds and weight classes are there for a reason. And so a lot of people are questioning, why is he willing to move up to 168 for Canelo all of a sudden? He's going against his own word. It's a money grab. It's duh, bro.
This is not the first time Crawford's career decisions have drawn questions. For years, observers scrutinized his resume at 147 pounds, wondering why he did not face elite opponents sooner and why he remained aligned with top rank while many major fights occurred elsewhere. Now, after finally proving himself at 147 and stepping into 154, he did not stay long enough to leave a lasting mark. This is the same Crawford who claims Spence falls short of Hall of Fame status for dominating only one division. Yet Spence defeated top competition at 147, unified titles through challenging paths, and remained undefeated until facing Crawford. Meanwhile, critics argue Crawford navigated a relatively average welterweight field, struggled at 154, and is now bypassing formidable contenders at 160 and 168 in pursuit of a payday against Canelo.
$200 million for Benavidez, and he want $150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his...
All right, everyone. Stay tuned for the latest in boxing news, highlights, events, and stories. Subscribe to Knockout today and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Be sure to watch our other videos too. Until next time, take care and stay safe.